Right now at noon, a case concerning a brain-eating amoeba leads investigators to examine the waters of the Lake of the Ozarks.
And temperatures heating up across the area. Some partly cloudy skies, dangerous heat possible into the weekend. Look at your forecast coming up.
Plus, the details on efforts by the McDonald County Commission to have more oversight over large cycling events.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Elise Noe. The Joplin SWAT team was called into the Easttown neighborhood yesterday afternoon and left one man in custody. Police had initially responded to a report of a disturbance at home on the 1300 block of South Furnace around 2 p.m. According to Captain Austin Wolf, he said an armed man had entered the home and was refusing to leave. The residents of the home were able to safely exit, but then a standoff began between the man inside and police. Now around 5 p.m., SWAT began dropping flashbangs into the home.
Despite the officers' efforts, the suspect did not leave the house, and so based on a lot of circumstances, SWAT was called. And one of the biggest reasons is we received information that the suspect was armed with possibly 2 long rifles.
The suspect left the home and surrendered to police. Now let's head over to Chris Warner for a look at the forecast.
Yeah, we are heating up across the 4 states this afternoon, and we will continue to do so into the weekend. Live look downtown Pittsburgh. Got those partly cloudy skies. MoDOT camera 28th and range line traffic's flowing smoothly this afternoon. We've had a pretty normal day yesterday, right about where we should be. Only a degree cooler, so not bad. But we're going to start heating up already in that process. In fact, some of us already getting to be a bit above normal. We've got mid-upper 80s, starting to see some low 90s, and our heat index values already into parts of northeastern Oklahoma reaching 100 degrees. So this is where we've had the greater concern. As is typical, our southwestern counties typically get a little hotter, and we're already heading up triple digits for those heat index values. Everywhere else, low, mid, and some upper 90s. Those heat index values for most of us should cap out at about 100. Some of us, as you just saw, be a little higher than that. We'll be down to the mid 80s by 7. Skies should clear as we head through the late evening and overnight hours, down to the low 80s still by 11, with temperatures remaining above average overnight. As I mentioned, temperatures continue to climb. That sends our heat index values up as well. We'll have a look at all of that, plus when we might get some relief from this heat here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, a 2-year-old girl has died following a drowning incident at the Lake of the Ozarks. It happened yesterday morning when, according to MSHP, the toddler was found face up in the water after wandering away from home. She was taken to an area hospital where she later died. Well, a warning from Missouri public health officials. A resident has contracted an infection from what's commonly called the brain-eating amoeba. Now investigators are trying to determine if it's linked to the Lake of the Ozarks. Authorities say while it's not confirmed, preliminary information implies the patient may have been water skiing at the Lake of the Ozarks prior to becoming ill. The amoeba is common and naturally present in warm fresh water such as lakes, rivers, and ponds. However, the infection is extremely rare, typically affecting fewer than 10 people a year in the U.S. The Missouri patient is an adult and is currently in intensive care. Health officials say the infection can not be spread by swallowing contaminated water. Instead, the amoeba travels up the nose and to the brain. People can reduce the risk of infection by avoiding stirring up sediment while in shallow, warm, freshwater areas. The symptoms include fever, nausea, vomiting, stiff neck, and seizures. Also, an altered mental status and hallucinations. The disease progresses rapidly. Anyone experiencing the symptoms after swimming in a warm body of water should seek medical help immediately. We have more information on KOAMNewsNow.com. The Southwest Missouri Police Department is making changes to help officers during DWI investigations. One important part of these investigations is often the blood work, and as Adam Woodbray shows us, the department now has an officer trained to do that.
The Aurora Marionville Police Department isn't the only law enforcement agency that has a trained phlebotomist on staff. Springfield Police, Monett Police, the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office all have them. The police chief here says that having someone who's able to come at a moment's notice can make a big difference when the minutes count.
Over the last couple of decades, the need for blood testing for driving while intoxicated enforcement has become much higher than the need for breath.
There was a time when a breathalyzer test was a bit of a gold standard for DWI investigations. But now Chief Wes Coatney says people are using more substances that wouldn't be detected.
Blood draw has to happen within a certain period of time for us to get an accurate account of what their intoxication level was at the time of the stop.
That's why the department sent an officer through a phlebotomy course with the Missouri Safety Center, and he's ready to go to the station anytime to do the work.
I've pretty much been able to set up my home life so that I'm ready whenever something comes up.
Sergeant Tim Swadley has been with the department for 17 years. He's also the school resource officer. He says it's been common to spend a few hours at the hospital waiting for a blood draw, but now it can all get done at the police station in just a few minutes.
So we had an issue a few weeks ago where they arrested somebody in the night, and from the time of the phone call to the time of me collecting the blood is about 20 minutes.
Now when you're brought in, they'll bring you in here to this chair, and that's when Sergeant Swadley will be doing his work. Be gentle with me too.
Oh, it'll be all right. You won't even notice.
Sometimes people who are arrested for DWI won't consent to having their blood drawn, and if that happens, officers can get a search warrant and do it.
When you're talking about a police officer who is most likely on the same department as the other officer doing the investigation, or potentially the very same officer who is doing the DWI investigation, that could raise some concerns.
Criminal defense attorney Adam Woody says for him, having an officer trained to draw blood could be seen as a conflict of interest, even though state statute allows it. But he also recognizes why it would be beneficial for a rural community.
They wouldn't necessarily have 24/7 on-staff nursing at the jails, and oftentimes ambulance districts are stretched too thin in the rural jurisdictions to really respond to do those types of things.
The department isn't able to test the blood on site. It's only able to withdraw it. The blood is then sent to the Missouri State Highway Patrol's lab in Springfield for testing. Officials in McDonald County, Missouri say large cycling events are raising safety concerns. The county commission is now working on a plan to gain more oversight for these events. Recently, there was a race that brought in more than 1,300 participants. County officials were not made aware beforehand, causing not only traffic issues, but also safety concerns as first responders were unexpectedly spread thin. A planned ordinance would require organizers to get a permit and work out a plan with law enforcement to ensure safety.
With a bike race supposedly coming here in a couple months, and we've been working also with the bike race promoters, and they've been very cooperative, so I think we've got something we can work with and make this event a whole lot safer and still hopefully provide some kind of economic boost for the county down the road.
The commission says because there are several upcoming cycling races and events scheduled in McDonald County in the coming months, they are working to get an ordinance implemented within the coming weeks. Well, as the new school year kicks off, there are more than just buses back on the road. New teen drivers are as well. AAA is urging everyone behind the wheel to stay alert, especially near school zones and busy intersections, by putting phones down and keeping eyes up. AAA says a pedestrian hit at 35 miles per hour is 2/3 more likely to be killed than if the vehicle were going just 10 miles per hour slower.
The school bus laws are in effect for a reason, where if they have their flashing lights on or their stop sign up, traffic is required in both directions to come to a stop. You have a lot of kids, young kids that may be riding the bus for the first time, and it can be a challenge. So make sure you're following those bus laws.
Last year in Missouri, 106 people died in crashes involving distractions. And coming up, the Trump administration prepares for the president's meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin tomorrow. And later, we're making fried elephant ears in the Mr. Fu test kitchen. Well, President Trump is now framing tomorrow's face-to-face meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska, hoping to gain ground in an effort to end the war with Ukraine. Doreen Small has the latest from the White House.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer greeted Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in London Thursday to discuss President Trump's meeting tomorrow with Russian President Vladimir Putin, where the main topic will be ending the war in Ukraine.
To achieve a peace, I think we all recognize that there'll have to be some conversation about security guarantees. There'll have to be some conversation about, territorial disputes and claims.
President Trump tempered expectations Wednesday.
It's going to be a very important meeting, but it's setting the table for the second meeting.
The president said the sit down is a chance to hear what Putin has to say, with the real negotiations still to come once Ukraine is involved.
Now, there may be no second meeting, because if I feel that it's not appropriate to have it because I didn't get the answers that we have to have, then we're not going to have a second meeting.
Trump's comments came after a video call with European leaders who urged him to push for a full ceasefire before discussing territory. The White House says the two world leaders will hold a joint news conference following their face-to-face talks. Trump and Putin last met in Japan in 2019. This time they'll sit down at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson outside Anchorage, Alaska. It's difficult for Putin to travel abroad because of sanctions and war crimes allegations, so the Treasury Department issued him and his team a special license to land on U.S. soil. It expires after August 20th. Torian Small, CBS News, the White House.
Still ahead, Mr. Food.
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, step right up and get your freshly made elephant ears. You better hurry, because they're going fast.
And our temperature is climbing fast as we're looking for the potential for dangerous heat to return into the weekend. Full look at your forecast when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM News at noon. So temperatures already climbing. Yesterday, we were a degree below average for our highs and lows. Today, that is not going to be the case, nor will it be the case for the next several days. Let's take a look outside downtown Pittsburgh. Got some partly cloudy skies, a bit bright out there, plentiful sunshine otherwise on what is already starting to be a warm day. We talked about this morning, and I am absolutely not surprised that we now have heat advisories. These came out actually just before the start of the noon news. Now, they're not for today. They will go into effect at noon tomorrow and run through 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. They are also coming from the Tulsa office. And remember what we've talked about with the Tulsa office. When it comes to their heat advisories, 9 out of 10 times they go day by day. And so they'll expire at 8 tomorrow evening. Could they be reissued? They certainly could. Could we see more? I wouldn't be surprised, because we're going to be dealing again with that potential for dangerous heat. We have that low pressure system passing by. Future track still indicating maybe an isolated shower or perhaps two, but again, the chance is just extraordinarily low. We're not really looking at any kind of reasonable rain chances for a while, and at least not any that we're putting on the board at this time. We go into our Friday, a similar situation. We have those southerly winds. They'll be light, maybe a shower or two, but again, it's so brief and so isolated that we're still just not putting it on the board at this time. And we'll see the process repeat as we head into Saturday afternoon as well, where maybe Future Track is hinting at a shower or two, but as you can see, it's just barely hitting the area here. So we'll wait and see. Maybe Saturday we'll get lucky, or at least somebody will get a little luckier, get a little more rain chances out there. But right now, they're just not looking all that good. The unfortunate thing, the only thing that's looking good is in terms of we're almost guaranteed with the heat here. Our heat index values today, again, into the triple digits in many cases out there. Some of us maybe a little bit above 100. Tomorrow, though, and this is why, exactly why, those heat advisories are in place. Heat index values up to 108 is what the advisory says for tomorrow. And as you can see, Future Track is lining up right on with that in terms of those heat index values. And again, even if you're not under a heat advisory yet, wouldn't be surprised if some of our counties, especially in the southeast Kansas, go under one tomorrow. Wouldn't be surprised if that happens. But even if it doesn't mean there's a safe 108 degree heat index value and one that's not safe. It's still dangerous heat. You still have to take the same precautions, because it will continue tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, same thing. And you can see, again, as you head a little further west, those heat index values get a little bit higher than those east of the 69 corridor at this point. So you still need to be taking those precautions. Still mid-90s today, and those heat index values, again, on average, up to about 100 degrees. 75 tonight, so that's above average. 69, 70, the average low for this time of year, and that's not quite where we're supposed to be. Tomorrow, though, highs upper 90s. We're going to have some folks getting close to 100. That's why we're going to start seeing those heat index values 105, maybe even upwards of 110 over the next few days into the weekend. So worst possible time. I know some kids went back to school this week. They may be exhausted, ready for their first weekend away from school. Maybe they're going to be exhausted enough they want to stay inside, because that's going to be a good idea. Still pushing highs near 100 through the weekend. Pop-up storm chances that are actually worth a little bit of something as we start next week. Does bring us back down to normal for Tuesday, and then we go below normal for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So like last week, just a brief little heat wave here, but it still could be a dangerous one. So make sure you're taking precautions, and then we'll get another break next week.
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, stick around. We're making fried elephant ears in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. We'll be right back. Well, today Howard is making fried elephant ears in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
As you probably can tell by the smirk on my face, or from the cinnamon sugar I probably have all over it, that our week-long sleuth of fair food continues. Today, we're making one of my favorites, fried dough, or as a lot of people call them, elephant ears. And the best thing about these, besides them being super easy and tasty, is that they'll have your gang stampeding to the kitchen in no time. We start off by heating some vegetable oil in a deep skillet or a soup pot. While that's heating, we cut a loaf of thawed frozen bread dough into thirds. We gently stretch each piece into about a 6-inch circle. You want to do this like you would if you were making pizza dough, being careful not to tear it. Now we fry these one at a time until they're golden on both sides, and when they are, we take them out and drain them on paper towel. Sprinkle on some cinnamon sugar while they're still hot and dig in. And if you're wondering why these are called elephant ears, it's because they look just like them. I do hope you'll go online and get the recipe for our fried elephant ears, so you'll be able to make traditional fair food right at home anytime you want. Maybe dig out that oversized stuffed animal you won years ago and relive those fond memories. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a festive way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Well, today's recipes on KOAMNewsNow.com. Now let's take a look at the 4-state market prices.
All right, heat index values today up to 100, could reach 105, and in some cases, maybe even up to 110 through the weekend. Heat advisory is going to affect for northeast Oklahoma tomorrow. Pop-up storms Monday, Tuesday, and below normal by Wednesday. So we just got to get through this brief heat wave, and we'll cool back down again.
Sounds like it, Chris. Thanks, Dad. What are your uppers later on today?
Well, a whole lot's coming up at 5. For starters, quitting smoking could be the key to help you with other bad habits. We're going to take a look at a new study highlighting the importance of smoking cessation programs. Plus, we're going to hear from Missouri Representative Dirk Deaton about legislative changes to property taxes and value assessments for Missouri residents. And Joplin school staff, they're gearing up for the school next week with their annual rah-rah celebration, as they call it. Excuse me. Join us for those stories, a lot more coming up on KOAM News at 5.
All right, Dal, thanks. And that's the news for now. Thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.